What's good, everybody? It's your boy Aries here, back in the building with another video. And this time around, I wanted to talk about my PlayStation 1 collection. Now, it's nothing special. It's probably about 11 or 10 games. So I don't want y'all to think like, oh, okay, he's going to show his expansive, 100 disc collection or whatever. It doesn't work out like that because I was never very familiar with the PlayStation 1 catalog to begin with. I do have some history. My cousin did own one, but he lived out of town, so probably like once or twice a year maybe we got to go over and actually play what he had. But most of the time it was just games like Resident Evil, Spyro, Crash, and stuff like that. Most of the time I was an N64 kid. That's kind of what I had. That's what my cousins local to me had. It was just something that just we all owned around us, and I was more familiar with those games, and we were always like swapping, like, oh, I'll trade you this one for this one and whatnot. So when it comes to the PlayStation 1 catalog, I have no idea what to play, except for like the big titles that most people or all people say are great games, which I'm pretty sure are, like Silent Hill, for example. Like, I believe anybody who says it's a fantastic game because it looks great. So I mean, why wouldn't it be? You know what I mean? So I have no idea when it comes to PS1 games what's good and what's not. So when I find one in the wild and I pick it up for a couple dollars, I don't really have any expectations except let me try it out and let's play the damn thing. But saying all that, I did own about 4 games growing up, and that was mostly because of the clearance bins that they had at the stores when I had got my PlayStation 2. Most of those games were like, you can always find them under $20 at that time. Now it's fucking ridiculous how much they're selling these PS1 games for, but at that time they were pretty cheap, so I did grab a couple when I was younger. So without, extending the time even more, how about let's take a look at some of the games in my collection. So first game on the list is Abe's Odyssey. Now this one I did own back in the day. Like I said, I had bought it from a clearance bin. I can't remember whether it was like Walmart or like, one of those. I more than likely, you know that I'm thinking about it, you know Game Crazy, how Game Crazy used to be inside of Hollywood Videos. I might have picked it up from there for like $10 or some shit like that back in the day. But if you haven't played this game, give it a try. It plays like games like, I think it's called Blackthorn or Flashback, Prince of Persia, and what's that other one called? Nosferatu for the Super Nintendo and stuff like that. Pretty much you play as Abe, who's pretty much enslaved in this I guess it's like a meat packing or the slaughterhouse where they make all this disgusting food. And one of the new ideas that they have for like frozen meals or whatever is to use these creatures. They're not humans, I don't know what they are, but to use body parts or to like pretty much cannibalize these freaking poor people to fucking be grounded up and to be made into food. And so it's up to you to try to escape. And I'm pretty sure down the line, it's been a while since I've played it, but down the line you have to save other folks as well. This game is just freaking great, man. If you haven't played it yet, please give it a try. You will not be disappointed. Alright, since we're on the topic of games that I used to own back in the day, this one is very, very special. I think it's the very first PlayStation game that I owned, and I also got it from a clearance bin, but I can't remember where. But I'm more than likely they were all from Game Crazy or whatever those fucking EB Games or whatever those stores were called back in the day. And that was Need for Speed High Stakes, man. And this one, it was just a freaking fun ass game to play with my cousins. I mean, what is there to say, right? It's Need for Speed. All you're really doing is just racing. Now, the graphics obviously did not age well, and the controls neither, but the game plays really well for how old it is. And like I said, there's not really much to talk about, except one of my favorite cars, actually, and even to this day, when I played a little bit of it, and I knew what car to go straight for. I haven't played this game in quite a while, so when I popped it in, I knew exactly what to go for. And I think it was a BMW Z3 Roadster, I think that's what it was called. But man, like that car, every time I look at it, it's just something that I always wanted as a kid. And obviously, like, your tastes in cars change as you get older, but when I was a kid, I really wanted a BMW because of this game. So Need for Speed High Stakes, give it a try if you haven't. great game. Now, while we're on the topic of Need for Speed, let's talk about Need for Speed 3 Hot Pursuit. This one I did own back in the day, but not for the PlayStation. I actually owned it for PC. And back in the day, I was a huge PC kid. Like, I just didn't really jump into like the next level of gaming after the N64. We had got a computer before I even got a PlayStation 2. So, you know, after you at a certain age, you're kind of like, okay, you know, I want to play something different, better graphics, better sound, a little bit more grown up, if you will. And so we got a computer, and I would spend so much time going online, playing games online, and you know, getting PC games, or like, you know, we knew this guy who downloaded or fucking burned all these games, pretty much stealing, but you know, we don't say that. But back then, man, I was into games like The Sims, Roller Coaster Tycoon, Redneck Rage, I think that's what that game was called. And that's when I had purchased this one right here. I'm pretty sure I got it for cheap as well, because my mom didn't really like to spend money on games, especially if they were expensive. But I mean, again, just like what's this other one called? Just like High Stakes. It's just racing. But one of the cool modes in this is that you can race and have the cops follow you. So obviously you're going over 100 miles per hour, and the cops see that on the track, and they're just chasing you around. And it's like, it's so fun to do that, because like now there's even more at stake. You know, now you have cops chasing you, because they can bust you midway while you're racing, and then you got to go back to the next checkpoint and shit like that. But Need for Speed 3, such a great game, and I absolutely love it. So over on the topic of PC gaming, there was another game that I owned that I'm pretty sure I got on the cheap, and that was Breakout. Breakout, man, let me tell you, this game, we've all played. Okay, first, we've all played a version of Breakout one way or another, right? Whether it was the Atari, at the arcades, on the fucking little Nokia brick phones, like, we've all played it, just like Snake. Everybody's played a version of Snake or Pac-Man or whatever. But Breakout did a fantastic job, or Atari, I should say, did a fantastic job with Breakout in this one. They gave, like, life and characters to, like, a game that didn't even really like establish any characters or anything like that. So pretty much you play as this little square, this rectangle, I should say, right? You know, the little rectangle that hits the ball. Well, this thing is alive in this game, and pretty much you gotta save his girlfriend from this like devil looking dude or whatever. And you go through each level, you go through like the desert, you go through a farm, you go through space, through the beach or whatever the hell, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many levels to go through, and this game is charming as all hell and such a great time. I would highly recommend many of you, if you haven't played it yet, to give it a try. It is so fun, and I think for many people who stream out there, this would be a great game to stream, just because like there's so much fun to be had. So Breakout, man, I just absolutely love this game, and I'm glad I was able to give this a try when I was younger, and I'm glad, even more glad, I was able to pick it up for like $5 at this retro gaming store across town. And so Breakout, please give it a try if you haven't. You won't regret it. So that about does it for games that I used to own when I was a kid. I know it's a very short list, especially when it comes to the PlayStation and PC. They were just expensive for us. You know, when my mom would buy games for me, it was like a rare occasion. So, you know, I really had to pick and choose what I wanted. And most of the time, I went with either the PC or I went with the Nintendo 64. So when it came to PlayStation games, I would get them, but then like my mom would kind of be like, okay, if you're getting this now, then you can't get this for your birthday or whatever. So I usually held out, but you know, I felt like I missed out on a lot of shit. But it's cool because, you know, over time I'm going to be able to play all these games that I missed out on. But with all that being said, let's take a look at the rest of these games in my collection. And the next one up is Namco Museum 3. Now this one is pretty cool. Obviously they're old games, right? Miss Pac-Man, Dig Dug, Pole Position, Galaxian, whatever. Like, there's nothing special here. But what I found pretty cool is that they took the word museum and made it quite fucking literal. Like, in this game, you go in and you're like in this museum. It's not a huge museum, but it's pretty cool that you get to explore around these rooms. And like you can go into a library, or you can go into a fucking theater where all these like characters from like the Namco world are, and they're just sitting there. And they look so fucking creepy because like they're sitting there staring at the screen. They ain't blinking. They're not moving. Like, I don't know if they're dead or they're being hypnotized. They're in a trance. I have no idea. But I found it pretty funny that they're just sitting there staring at the screen and like making no movements whatsoever. But if you look down at the balcony, you see like some other characters from, I guess, the Namco world, and they're kind of moving a little bit. So they're alive, but they're standing up. They're not really sitting down watching a movie, which I don't get. But anyway, it's pretty cool that in order to play these games, they all each have their own room. Like, for example, you can go into, you can go into the pole position 2 room, right? And it's just like this race car sitting on this stage and with the screen behind it. And it looks pretty cool. And the way that you play the games is you go up to these arcade cabinets, and that's how you start the game, right? I mean, there's, like I said, like there's nothing really too exciting when it comes to the games, because it's just, I don't know, pole position 2. It's not like it's pole position 2 Redux or whatever, you know what I mean? Nothing special like that. But I thought it was cool that you can go into each of these like rooms, and then they're all like set around the theme of the game. Like Miss Pac-Man, for example, this one's fucking hilarious. You know, first you go into the doors, it's her front yard. It's kind of like, okay, you know, it's nice over here. Then you go in the house, bro, and she's fucking dancing and she's shaking her ass, whatever ass that she has. She's shaking it, bro, with the fucking dog next to her. And the funniest shit of all is that as you can explore the house, it's not like it's a huge house, but you go into one room and it's a fucking restroom, and Mr. Pac-Man is taking a shit. Like, what the fuck? It's just straight hilarious, dude. Like, the like little amount of details that they put into this game was just enough for me to be like, wow, this is cool. Even though these games aren't all that special nowadays, like the presentation is what matters. Now again, just like the Namco games, it's a bunch of Atari games, and there's nothing really special here. But what I wish they would have done, since they, you know, they had the theme of TV, they could have did like this retro look to it, because like the presentation isn't really all that well. It's just, you know, a TV with like this drawn Atari 2600 up on top, and you just scroll down to the next game, and you just, you know, you see a little clip of it on the TV. Like, I wish it was a little bit more immersive, a little bit more, I don't know, clean. It looked better, just because like I feel like these kind of things have a lot of potential, you know, like with Atari 50 coming out soon. Like, that one looks great, and I'm really hoping that they do something exciting and beautiful, you know, especially considering that Atari is one of like the OGs when it comes to gaming, right? So I mean, it's very important that they do stuff like that for these type of things, because like I said, not many people care for these type of titles, you know what I mean? It's a very select few, you know. If you want to grab the attention of younger generation, you got to clean the emulation up and you got to present it well, and I wish this game would have done more with that. So next on the list is Midway's arcade hits for the Atari. Again, it's nothing special. The intro is pretty cool, but then just like the Activision collection, it's a shitty presentation. I wish they would have took more time to do something cooler. You know what I mean? Like, this is Midway, folks. Midway is fucking goated with games. Like, I want to do a video. I'm actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm going to do a video of if the Evercade was to put out a Midway collection, what I would want to see. I'm going to put some thought into it. I'm going to make a list by hand, and I'm going to read it out. And hopefully somebody from Evercade could hear it. But in the meantime, I'm talking about this fucking game. There's nothing special about it. It's just fucking Atari fucking emulation games. And come on, what do we need to say? Next, we have Army Men 3D. This one is pretty fucking awesome, okay? Like I said, I don't know about any of these fucking PlayStation games, but I did play Sarge's Heroes, I believe, for the N64, and that one was pretty cool. But playing this one was fucking awesome. Look how brutal it is, bro, okay? Obviously, like, these are little plastic people. This fool is burning. He's shooting a flamethrower, but check this shit out. He's fucking burning him, bro. What the fuck? Míralo. Está muy quemado. Dice, puta madre. What the fuck, dude? Like, these motherfuckers are ruthless, dude. And they get away with it because they're fucking plastic, right? Like, it's just considered animated violence. Animated violence, bro, as opposed... Because imagine if they were just, like, blood or something. It would be a hard M. All right? But, Army Men 3D, man. I mean, there's not much to say. We've all, like, growing up, we've all played. I don't think kids do now, but we all grew up in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. We grew up with, like, these little army characters. We set them up in the room around having their little battles. We gave them all voices, and we gave them all personalities and shit. So it's cool that there's a game series that actually acknowledges what we thought of when we would play with these little characters when we were kids. So Army Men 3D, it's dope. Next on the list is a bit of a goofy ass game, and this one is Thunder Truck Rally. I found this game at a thrift store for, I think it was like $4, but it was 75% off, so I probably paid about $1 and some change for it, which was cool or whatever. But you know, I really didn't play it until recently. I usually, when I buy games at thrift stores or whatever, I usually come home and I pop it in just to give them a try to see if they work or not, because then I'll be like, okay, my loss, I lost a couple bucks or whatever. So recently I just played, recently as in, I don't know, like 4 hours ago, I first played this game. And this is one goofy ass game, bro. Like, I don't know what they're trying to do. For me, it looked like just some American, I don't know, some American fucking redneck, let's fucking get in monster trucks and cause destruction type shit, which I'm not judging. I'm all for that. You know, I'm all for destruction and shit. Like, did I not discuss already that I like the pew pew boom boom pow pow type games? Come on, man. So of course I expected some sort of I don't know, car violence, you can say, in this game. And what I got is I don't know what the fuck. It's just so fucking, it's so weird. It's so weird. And fucking Insignia, is that who made the game? Psygnosis made the game. Psygnosis made, the only way I recognize that owl is from the Toy Story 1 game on the Super Nintendo. But even that game wasn't all that great. But that game's even way better than this fucking thing. This shit is terrible. I feel like, I don't know, like Scrooge McDuck of wasting $2 is like wasting $100 and shit, you know what I mean? Like, if I could, I'll return this bitch and get my $2 back. Next game that I have here, and I can't tell you where I got this game from. I have no idea, yo. Like, I wish I knew where this shit came from, because I don't remember buying it when I was younger. But where it came in my collection, I have no idea. But it is X-Men versus Street Fighter. Now, obviously, we're all familiar with Capcom versus Marvel and shit like that, but X-Men versus Street Fighter is fucking dope. You know, you got like a very, very select few characters from Marvel, which are the X-Men, which Gambit, Cyclops, Storm, Wolverine, and whatnot. And then you have the typical fighters like Dhalsim, Ryu, and Bison and shit like that. So, I mean, there's not really much explanation when it comes to this game. We've all played these fighting games. I just found it interesting that I had this in my collection. I don't know where the fuck it came from, but I'm glad I got it. And, you know, I played it for, I don't know, probably about 40 minutes earlier when I was playing it. I fucking suck at it, which, you know, I'll battle anybody, but just know that you're going to take the dub right away, because most of the time when I play these games, I get my ass handed to me. But this game is great. X-Men, who doesn't love fucking X-Men, man? We all love X-Men. And Street Fighter is fucking awesome as well, okay? Like, there's not much to say. It's X-Men versus Street Fighter, baby. Now, next are two games that I bought recently at the flea market, and I got them both for $10. And I kind of feel like I paid a little too much, but the guy didn't want to go down more. He was trying to sell them to me for $15. I told him first, I told him 8. And then he was like, I can do 10. And I was like, well, you do 9, you know, like $1 less. He's like, no, 10's the most I can go down. I was like, whatever. Okay. You know, he's a cool guy. He's trying to make some shmoney and shit like that, you know? So I ain't mad at it. I'll give you $10, bro. It's cool. But one game that I did buy that caught my eye is Twisted Metal 2. Yeah. Like I said earlier, about, you know, going to my cousin's house to play PlayStation because I just didn't know anybody else who had one. This was one of the games that he rented when we had went over one summer. It was this one or the first one, but I'm pretty sure it was this one here. And when I was playing it earlier, I was just like, man, like I said, I just love those boom, boom, pow, pow, ping, ping, brah type games, man. Destruction, the better. Especially when it's destruction that I can like move fluently with. You know, the controls are nice and clean and tight. I don't have to fucking batallar going like this, like that, or whatever. The only thing I wish I can do is I can use the joystick, because like sometimes it does get like kind of like, you know, it hurts my hands a little bit having to hold up and then, you know, steer like that at the same time. It's just much better to use a stick. But you know, that didn't throw me off too much. I just absolutely love this game, and I was playing it for quite a while. I think I played it for like an hour and a half earlier. I just couldn't stop destroying shit. So this one right here, man, is just such a great game, and I'm glad I picked it up for $5. I ain't mad at it. And the next one that I picked up, which I feel I kind of overpaid. I would have much rather paid $2 for this game, but that had to be WCW Mayhem. I have it for the N64, and for the N64, I think I paid like $3 for it. I got it online at One Up Gaming. But this one right here, I'm just not a fan of it. You know, when I was playing it earlier, I was just kind of like, I don't care for the controls. Like, I never really liked wrestling games outside of the N64 wrestling games, to be quite honest with you. This one, I don't care for the controls. Like, I wish X would just grapple, right? But I hate that grappling, it has to do with R1 or something like that. Like, the controls just seem so out of place, and I just didn't really have fun with this one. I played this for like 15 minutes, and I was just kind of like, fuck, you know, like, what did I get myself into? Now, when it comes to wrestling games, these are the ones. These are the Mac Daddies right here, okay? This one right here, NWO, WCW Revenge, and WrestleMania 2000. Also, I don't have No Mercy. No Mercy is the shit. Okay, No Mercy is like $40, you know, believe it or not. I'm trying to find that in the wilds, at least for like $10, $15. I'll buy that shit for $10, $15, but I won't pay $40 for that motherfucker. But it would be worth it because that game's fucking awesome. But N64 wrestling games, bro, are what wrestling games are all about, okay? I never really got into them outside of the N64. I think I rented a PS2. I don't know what game for the PS2 I remember renting, and I just hated it. And so, like, you know, I wish wrestling games were a little bit more fun than like they were, or the controls were as good as they were during the N64 era. So that was my PlayStation 1 collection. I hope this video isn't too long, but if you're here and you stuck around this long, I very much appreciate you for sticking around, because I know sometimes it's kind of like you want to do a quick video, but you just end up talking too fucking much, like I am right now, right? I know. But again, thank y'all very much. And if you haven't yet, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you're notified every time I drop something. So again, thank y'all very much for coming through and kicking it with your boy once again. And I'll catch you on the next one, all right? Deuce.